I came here, I was about 10-year-old, I suppose, 9 or 10. I had an uncle, Leo Dean, the oldest brother of the, I think there was 5 or 6 Dean brothers. Leo played at Geelong and he played for Victoria and he came back and he coached North. His brothers, Jack, they're all good players. Reg was president. And I just progressed from there. Started playing under 15s, I was about 12. Went through to under 18, played reserves. I was getting married, so I was at a mortgage, had a house and a mortgage, so I got a job. I used to work weekends. And I did that. We still, well, Anne and I and the kids used to come and watch North most Saturdays. And then that was it. And then I knew Dick Philpott, and he said to me one day, he said, what about coming and being secretary of the club? And I said, oh. And he appointed me about 9:30 one Friday night in the Telegraph Hotel. And I was here 91 till about 95. And then 95 I retired. I didn't seek re-election. And Ray Atridge from the GDFL, who I knew I went to school with, he rang me up and he said, what are you doing? Will you come down to the league? So I've been there, went there, and I've been there ever since. Oh, Dick was a great leader, good for the club. He gave the club a high profile. But we were lucky though. We had a pretty good team. We had a good sides, and the club was running quite well. I had a lot. He could eat, a big guy, remember? He could eat after the game, Jones. He was funny. But he was a really funny man, as I say. He was a great leader and gave the club in those years, he was president for what? How many years? 16, wasn't it?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, many years. He made a tremendous contribution to the club, along with many other presidents, along the 150-year history of it.
It's quite interesting how he came to be at North Geelong, because he always told the story about, Collingwood were playing Geelong at Cardinia Park, and Geelong was stitching up Collingwood at that stage, and he was disappointed in Collingwood's. And I think he just moved to Geelong at that stage, and he walked out and he said to someone, oh, I can't watch this rubbish anymore. Is there any clubs around here that wear black and white? And the guy said, there is one, but you wouldn't want to go out there. He said, it's North Geelong. And he said, that'll do me, he said. So he said, they're working man's club. And so he arrived out here and watched North Geelong play that day. And I still remember the time when the club was in real trouble, was nearly going to fold. And we came to a meeting here one night, and Clive Waugh, Wonder Waugh, great bloke, great footballer. I played against him, and he came out one day with the bandages all over him, and I said, what are you doing? He said, I got to fill in, they're short. I said, well, you're going to be a cripple if you keep playing like it. So he went away, but he stood in as president, and then Dick came along and followed him. I think he came up with the Fabulous Magpies, actually. So,
yeah, I think it was.
So he was really good at promoting the club, and North Geelong had a lot to owe Dick Philpott for the recognition that the club gets in the Geelong region.
He was the club director for many years.
Yes. Nearly
all his time as president. But we have a monthly club directors meeting, and he was always the representative for North Geelong. He was good. He had a lot of input into on how we should be going, that sort of things.
I'd probably like to go back a little bit further than that, because it's probably about 80 odd years ago, when I was a little tacker. We followed East Geelong. We lived in East Geelong, and I was mascot at East Geelong in 46, 47, 48 when East won the flag, and they beat North twice by 3 points in 2 of those finals. And then North won 7 in a row after that, and played East 2 or 3 times, and won 8 out of 10 in that era. So they were really forced to be reckoned with, and they produced a lot of AFL, VFL players as well. And I had a look up the other day how many there was, and I just forget how many, but there was a hell of a lot. Right back to I think Charles Brownlow even played here.
I think he did too.
And Ken Hands, and back in that era. But as I said before about Dick Philpott taking over and Alan taking over as well, it strengthened the club. And Dick was always one of the guys that spoke up at directors' meetings, and pushed the Barra for North Geelong and the league in general. So North Geelong's a very vital cog of at GDFL.
Michael Leo, he coached up until about 1940, because he come back from Geelong. He coached up till about 1949, and then he retired, and they won a 7 in a row after that. And I can remember going, I think it was probably the 58. The crowds, they were tremendous crowds and had a terrific following, and they beat the arch rivals, St Mary's.
Yes.
In those games. But they were good sides, really good. They had some good footballers. Good footballers.
It was good football though. I can remember as a kid, but there was guys like Hank was on earlier, Hank Clifford. I can still remember him taking high marks and jumping high in the air and taking marks. And Bruce Tonkin and Neil Tonkin. There's a lot of others that back in that era.
Bobby Cunningham, was he?
Bobby Cunningham, yeah. But as I said, Clive War, Wonder War, he was unreal. He went down to Geelong but came back to North, but he could have played league football.
Well, Keith was, as I said, I was elected secretary on it. I had through work, and then I had a little bit of experience, administrative experience. But Keith had been a prior secretary, and he was tremendous. He showed me the way to go, and he was what he's done for this club and his family and his brothers. And his brothers there, one or two.
Couple, I think. Yep.
But the whole, as I was going to say, the whole club in those days was a family club, because North Geelong only ran from Liverpool Street to Swinburne Street and across the road, and the families are like the Harringtons, the Deans, the Barclays, what did I say?
The Habibs.
The Cunninghams. And those. Alec Wilson had the barber shop down the road. Because it was all in North, those people, this was the place to come to, the football club and the cricket club.
It was interesting that Alan mentions that, because back in that era there was, the old part of Geelong, there was no Thompsons, there was no Carayos, those clubs weren't in existence. So it was the North Geelong, East Geelongs and Barwons. And even back down around some of the towns, like there was Newtown, Jewell, St Mary's came in I think 52, but there was Queenscliff and Drysdale and some of those.
Freshwater Creek.
Yeah, there was a lot of clubs around, but they played in the Geelong District Football League, and we are the longest serving organisation in Victoria, I think, if not Australia. So as I said before, but it's a North Geelong program we were talking about, but North are very vital to us.